as the emperor's wrestlers. These 40 men were the best athletes in the Roman amphitheater and the bravest soldiers in all the Roman army. They wrestled for the emperor against all who challenged them and defeated them. Before each contest, they would stand before the emperor's throne and cry out, 40 wrestlers wrestling for thee, O emperor, to win for thee the victory and from thee the victor's crown. One year in midwinter, there was a rebellion waged in Gaul. That's modern-day France. The emperor sent for his wrestlers and told them to go to Gaul, to the southern portion of the Alps, and end the war that had been raging on. This brave group of 40 wrestlers left Rome under the command of Vespasian, was his name. While in Gaul, rumors spread to Rome that some of the emperor's wrestlers had become Christians. Nero was known for executing immense amounts of Christians. And when this news reached him, he sent messages to Vespasian, and he made this decree: if there be any among your soldiers who cling to the faith of the Christians, they must die. Now, this was in the Alps of France in the dead of winter that Vespasian received the message while his soldiers were camped beside a frozen lake. Vespasian assembled his troops and asked, are there any among you who cling to the faith of the Christians? If so, let him step forward. I must tell you that all who step forward will be put to death, and I have heard it said that a Christian will not deny being so. One at a time, 40 men stepped forward 2 spaces, saluted, and stood at attention. Then he stated, I believe in Jesus Christ, as he is the Messiah, and I will worship him. Vespasian was stunned. He had not expected any to step forward. Vespasian then said to all of them, until sundown I shall give you time to recant and to deny this faith. At sundown the soldiers were again assembled, and Vespasian asked, who still clings to the Christian faith, even if it means death? This is a true story, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Again, 40 soldiers stepped forward, stood at attention, and said the same thing. Vespasian pleaded with them to deny their faith, but not one soldier would deny Jesus. Vespasian did not want these men to die. He loved them, respected them, and fought with them side by side. To die by the blade of the sword, he would not allow it. So he built a large fire by the lake and had them stripped naked. Vespasian reluctantly said, the decree of the emperor must be obeyed, so you shall stand out on the frozen lake exposed to the elements until you freeze to death. Should you recant and deny Jesus, the fire will remain burning on shore, and by returning to the shelter of the fire, you will be denouncing the Christ, and you shall live. The 40 soldiers stripped off their clothing, fell into 4 columns of 10 each, and marched towards the center of the frozen lake to their death. But as they marched onto the ice, they chanted, 40 wrestlers, wrestling for thee, O Christ, to win for thee the victory, and from thee the victor's crown. All night long, Vespasian stood by his campfire and watched those 40 brave wrestlers out on the ice as they slowly succumbed to the elements. As they grew weaker and weaker, their chanting grew fainter and fainter. 40 wrestlers wrestling for thee, O Christ, to win for thee the victory, and from thee the victor's crown. As morning drew near, one wrestler, no longer able to stand the freezing cold, walked off the ice and came to the edge of the fire, renouncing his faith. Vespasian felt he was gaining victory over them, and he thought, aha, more will come. I know these men. As he waited, standing pompously by the lake, no more came. Then Vespasian heard once again, very faintly from the frozen lake, 39 wrestlers wrestling for thee, O Christ, to win for thee the victory, and from thee the victor's crown. Vespasian, standing by the fire all night, was thinking as he stood there, and God had touched his heart. Vespasian slowly removed his cloak, his helmet, his armor, and calmly walked down upon the frozen lake to join his men. As he walked, he chanted alone, 40 wrestlers, wrestling for Christ, to win for thee the victory, and from thee the victor's crown. Apart from my faith in Christ, there's one thing that's animated my life these last 50 years. It has been the friendship that started with the men in this room and the trials that we went through together. And I hope you appreciate this story. So it's been my extreme joy to transition into manhood, shoulder to shoulder with the courageous men in this room. You've been friends, you've been teammates, role models in many ways. On our 50th anniversary, we gathered to rekindle friendships and to commit to stay connected from here forward. We pause to remember our class 88 brothers who have preceded us. Jim Bunting, Rich Harpo Doheny, Gary Hersey, The Thermometer, Kevin Kodiak Lumberg, Bob Maddox, and Richard Scruggs. Fair winds and following seas, brothers. You're missed. Join me in prayer, please.